Hello, everyone, and welcome back, Mana. Good to see you.
To see
This is
you.
our next chapter of the Refound story. We've been having such a great time hearing from you, all sorts of ideas and stories, and we'll continue to listen and bring those to life. One of which today, as you know, Mana, has been a hot topic for a lot of people. And we hear it a lot, and that's why we wanted to address it today before we go any further on any other chapters. And I'm going to kick it off by asking Mana, what happens in your life when the world goes loud? That's our topic for
Uh,
today's chapter.
mhm. Uh, Two things I think about and work on when the world goes loud is one, shutting those voices down or silencing them or muting them, and then having the true voice get louder, uh, which isn't always easy because we
Mhm.
wonder, oh, you see, I've often said fear can mask itself as wisdom. So
Mhm.
when somebody we respect or somebody we look up to, whether it's directly or indirectly, whether it's somebody that's in our realm of it, life, like you and I, like if you said something to me, I really take it to heart. I would like, oh, let me think about that. Is
Yep.
that voice that I allow to be in my world and to speak to me? And am I a voice that you allow in your world to speak to you, etc.? Well, not only do we have each other, but we have family, we have friends, we have neighbors, we have colleagues, we have mentors, we have lots of people in our lives. And why this is so important is because we want to also be clear and responsible in asking the question, is this fear or is this wisdom?
Mhm.
Because it's not always our fear or our wisdom. Is it their fear? Is it their wisdom? And we give carte blanche to people that we love and care about, and and that can sometimes lead to compromise
Yep. Yep.
because we shut ourselves down. We become the people pleaser. We talked about that in a previous chapter. We become fearful ourselves, or we hold on to their fear as if it was wisdom. And then now we run with that dialogue as opposed to our own. So in those moments, and I'll get back to another point to this in a moment. But when we have people speaking into our lives, and it's not necessarily wisdom, but it's fear, we have to then find the courage to speak.
Mhm.
That's when our voice must be louder than the fear. Uh, Sometimes silence is safe. I can't remember who said this. Was it Shakespeare? Was it Einstein? Was it C.S. Lewis? But it was, is what I'm about to say going to improve the silence? And so when we say voices that unite,
Mhm.
we want to be the voice that improves the silence. We want to be the voice that dispels fear. We want to be the voice that reveals truth. We want to be the voice that inspires awe and wonder, curiosity. And so when the world goes loud, what happens to our voices?
Mhm.
Do we turn it down and turn ourselves up? Do we turn it down and then we go and meditate, we go pray, we go get curious, we do our own research? Is what they're saying fearful or is it wise?
Mhm.
And what am I taking? Am I taking on their fear? Am I taking on their wisdom?
Yep.
All of these things have to be assessed. Said another way, we have to critically think, which I don't think we have done, because we've been in, as you said in the very first episode, in the very first chapter, we've taken on mental obesity. We've taken on everybody else's voice, everybody else's opinion, everybody else's emotion. And it has been, and whether it started in 2020 or it started way, way back. It all adds weight to our obesity, our mental obesity. And this is the time we need to critically think more than ever, not just because of what was loaded onto us, but also because we no longer say, oh, let's just Google that.
Yeah.
We say, let's chat that. Now, somebody else is still thinking for us. It's just that it's another name. And
Mhm.
can we rely on its sources? So that's why I have, I think, at least 3,000 books. You can't rewrite that on the internet.
Right.
I have encyclopedias from many years ago. The year I was born, 1962, the year my son was born, 1988, and another year, because you can't write that. You can't write that. You cannot say, oh, on the internet search, whatever model, program, or whatever you use, you can't say that never existed. Well, I actually have some encyclopedias that showed, and it was in hard print from way back when, that actually this was the truth. This was what happened. And so, in a nutshell, when the world goes loud, we have to ask some questions.
Mhm.
Where's my voice? Who is this voice?
Yeah.
Is it fear or is it wisdom? And is it time for me to say something? Or is it time to be quiet and to do some research?
Mhm.
So that's what I would start off
Yeah.
with.
No, I like that. I think there's a tendency these days, especially with the onslaught of social media, we've inadvertently given everyone a voice without consequence. And what happens is it creates even more chaos. And there's this tendency, if we don't agree, well, we got to enforce and project our voice onto somebody else. And then it creates, so there's this tendency now that we've elevated the chaos of voice on all certain platforms.
Right.
And I think human nature is, if I don't agree with it, I'm better tell them why I don't agree with it, or I think they're wrong, so I'm going to tell them, why they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this escalation. You look at TikTok these days. Somebody puts a video out there, and you look at the comments, and 90% of them are tearing someone down for
It's
what they've
horrible.
said. So it's created this kind of negative platform of energy around, when somebody goes loud, I better go loudest because I want to be the one person that everyone thinks is right. We can hide behind it. There's no consequence other than maybe a temporary ban on TikTok or whatever it is. But we just, unfortunately, it's not like it used to be. So for me, when the world goes loud, I do go quiet. I don't say silent. I go quiet. And the reason why quiet to me is not a negative, it's immediate reflection.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've struggled with in the past is this tendency to overreact and react on emotion rather than logic, right? So my logical voice tends to follow the emotional one, and my logical voice goes, "What the hell were you saying? Why did you respond that like that, you idiot?" So here comes the war of logic and emotion. And so the quietness allows me to go into logic and reflection and be able to say, okay, why is this bothering me? Why am I having this reaction? What is my role? As you said, where do I stand in this? And start making sure that it's serving me and not adding to that mental obesity, and making sure that the quietness is about listening, and it's not about reacting on emotion. And I think we've become a society of overreaction and emotion driving, irrational emotion driving so much. So I like the idea, when the world goes loud, I go quiet so that I'm able to bring to surface what I think makes the most sense for me to hear and those that I love to hear. And rather than trying to one up someone, I just allow the voice of reason and logic to take over. And I think that's, when we work with some of the leaders that we do, it's, we live in cancel culture. I mean, one wrong thing and you're done. And that's one of the things that, especially when we work with those individuals that are, at the corporate level, there's this fear of even having a voice because of that reason. So there is a
Absolutely.
lot of quietness. And I actually believe that the more silenced we stay, the more loud that it gets, because we're allowing the loud people to run and the ones with logic, they get kind of
Yeah.
silenced per se.
Yeah, that's the
So
critical thinking.
it's
And
the
then
critical thinking, it's that emotional intelligence that you talked about that I think, which is why we love working with people that want to make a difference and want to make an impact, but they're learning how their story is able to be a tool and a resource, not a weapon, not an ego-driven power trip, whatever that is. It's meant to be a really beautiful tool to help create more impact that's changing for the better. And I
yeah,
think that's where we spend a lot of our time, which is so much kind of in our wheelhouse of what we love to do. And so if you're feeling like the world is really loud around you, whether it's coming from those screaming teenagers or those coworkers that you can't stand, or politics that you can't control, and or just things that find peace in the quiet. You don't have to remain silent, but find peace in the quiet. That to me is where a lot of the good stuff happens. And
mhm,
that quiet can even be quiet behind the scenes and working and collaborating and surrounding yourselves with people that want to bring the rational voice, the voice of reason, the voice of hope, the voice of impact to the surface. That quietness can be sometimes the loudest voice.
yeah. There's another quote that I love, and it's rather how does it go? Rather uh, stay silent and appear foolish than speak and remove all doubt.
Oh, I like that.
And
I
and
like that.
and that is the this the I think the quote that we need to embed on in our mind and our consciousness, or put on top of our computer screen frame, because this cancel culture is based on fear and shame.
Yeah.
And if
Mhm.
people can shame you enough, they will win. But
Mhm.
fear
Mhm.
cannot have the final word. Love does, and love speaks truth. Love speaks hope. Love speaks an opportunity. Love speaks an alternate way. Love speaks louder than fear. And I just think that we should leave with this. There's
Yeah.
an old, I guess, playground rhyme that we used to say: sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
What does that takes me back? My
Words do
dad used that
hurt.
all the time. Yep.
And words hurt a lot. It
Yeah.
hurts a lot because, especially now, when that thread of shame comes from the past, and we talked about process in a,
Yep.
a former uh, episode, in a former chapter, the chapter that we skipped, when those threads come back and it's highlighted with exclamation points of name calling,
Yep.
internet attacks, and so on. This is the time when we need to really gather as a community and be voices that unite, not voices that just randomly, without thought, uh, say we're all the same. It's not about that. It's about the heart being the same, or the heart center being in agreement as the foundation. And where is that place that we could explore and discover things together? So when the
Well,
world
when
comes
you and I
out, yeah,
first formed our partnership, Voices That Unite was never about activism. It was always about advocacy.
yeah,
And I think that's an important distinction that we have. And that's exactly why we focus all of our attention not on being right, but on being honest and in integrity and in the space of being servant leaders that drive the impact. And that's the difference between, uniting against an activism kind of approach versus an advocacy kind of approach.
yeah.
And just wanted to make that distinction as well. But man, I thank you for this conversation today. This chapter comes to a close. But for all of you that if this is a first time, or if you've been here before, please visit voicesthatunite.com/podcast. Sign up, send in your comments, your suggestions, stories, or even if you want to be a part of the dialogue. We welcome listeners to share their stories. We don't want it to just be Mary, Joy, and Tucker talking constantly. Although we have a lot of fun doing it, we want to hear from you too. So in some upcoming chapters, we will be having some of those voices and those refound stories being told.
Mhm.
Um,
And to your point, Tucker, it's part of the world we live in of algorithms and everything else. So like, comment, share, subscribe, all the rest of it. Again, for us, it's not about getting followers so much as it is about we need followers to make the impact.
yeah.
So please,
We don't want to build the largest community. We want to build the right one. And
yeah.
that's what we're here to do, is to build the right
Yeah,
one.
exactly. So thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next
We'll
time.
see you in the next chapter. Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye.